I think we're probably ready to roll. Resume saved. That's what I want to do. I've had a bit of a play around with mods this week. And by that I mean I've added the real shoots mod because I've been having lots and lots of issues with parachutes breaking during re-entry. Hopefully the real shoots mod might allow us to counteract that slightly. There we go, you can see the icon for that up there. So yeah, hopefully we won't have too many parachute failures. We do have a couple of extra parachutes to choose from. Looks like they've been unlocked by default. There you go, there's one there, one there. So that's quite handy. They've unlocked anyway. We do have 297 science points unspent from last week. If you remember last week we managed to get a science module up to our space station and we managed to grab some wonderful juicy science points from up there. We've spent some of them, but we have 297 left. These nodes are 160, so we could unlock one of them, but I think we'll save those for a little bit later. We'll say we need 3 science to unlock one of these, so that shouldn't be too tough for us to organise. In fact, I can think of a way that we probably haven't gathered science already. Let's have a look at Kerbin. Let's have a look. We've done Launchpad, we've done KSC, we have not done the runway. We have not picked up any science on the runway, so let's put together a quick little science gathering vessel and hopefully we will pick up some science and get to the 300 so we can unlock something new. Don't think I've already built any. No, none of those are any good. So just something quick and simple. Let's have a Mark 1 lander cam, preferably not on its side. Oh, come on. There we go. And we'll stick all the obligatory science stuff on here. Okay, it's going to make us work for it today. Really? Okay. There we go. Seismometer, barometer, thermometer. I don't think we can detect gravioli whilst stationary, but we'll stick one of those on anyway, just in case. Anything else here that we can gather science with? Space telescope? Don't think so. We might have a look at those today, actually, because they're quite interesting. They're a good way to gather some science. Okay, so I think that's about all. I'll tell you what. Let's stick a nose cone on here. Atmospheric science package. See if we can gather any science with that. Yeah. Okay. So this is the runway science 1. No, not 0. 1. Save that, and we will take that straight out to the launch pad with who's coming with us? Dillong. Thank you, Dillong. Out you come. And we'll just grab some quick science points from the runway. Welcome to everyone that's in the chat so far. I have seen Jelly in the chat, I've seen Hugo Van Payne in the chat, and I can see Telur86 in the chat. Welcome to you guys. Anyone else that's sitting in the chat and not said anything yet, don't forget to say hello. Anyone who's not sitting in the chat, well, you're probably not watching. So, come and watch. Because you heard that. Okay, so we are out on the runway. Let's go for observe the materials bay. Materials bay from the runway, 7.5 science. So there we go, that's sufficient already. Let's grab temperature, 2.4, barometer, 3.6, accelerometer, 6.0, gravioli detector. Oh, we can use that. Okay, keep that data. Wow, there's quite a lot of science points here. Observe the mystery goo. Keep that data. Let's see what this does. Run atmosphere analysis. Another 6 science. Keep that data. Crew report, 1.5. EVA. See if we can get a flying above. I think we've probably already got one of those. Yeah, okay. Off you get then. There's Dillon without his helmet. EVA report from the runway, keep that. Surface sample from the runway, keep that. Grab. Board. Did I do everything? I think I got everything there. So recover the vessel and let's see what that is. That's actually going to be a fair chunk of science, isn't it? Yeah, I do think Saturday streams are a little bit easier for people to watch, although we do have some competition, particularly this evening. There are a few other big name KSPers available. There's some big time KSPers streaming this evening. Hopefully we will attract people's attentions away from those and then come and watch us instead. So, Dillon got a couple of ribbons there, but we unlocked 47.4 science, which is juicy science points, which now means we do have 344 science so that we can unlock something in here. Now, do we want rover parts? Do we want satellite parts? Do we want RCS, SAS and control pod parts? Do we want spaceplane and aerodynamic parts? Do we want, what are these? More spaceplane and aerodynamic parts. Do we want docking ports and space station parts? What are these? Stack separator, girders, heat shields, multi-purpose stacked booster. I don't know what that is. Oh, is that an inline? Excuse me. That's an inline fuel tank with a booster. Interesting. So we can unlock any of those, or we could save up until we get 550 to unlock lots of new engines and things, or these are IXS parts, communication parts, and that weird electronic generation thingy. I don't think we'll save up. I think we will spend these points, but I'm not too sure what we will spend them on. We haven't really done much with space planes. We could perhaps have a look at unlocking some space plane parts to see if we can get a space plane that will take us into orbit. I don't know if we've got sufficient engines, etc. to do that, but it might be worth us having a look, seeing what we can do. Hey there, Smitty J 1982. It depends how long you're at work, I suppose. I will be streaming for about the next 2 hours or so, 2.5 hours maybe. So chances are I probably won't be on when you get back from work. It is 9:15 in the evening where I am here, so no, unfortunately I won't be. However, it will be put over on my YouTube channel, so you're welcome to catch the highlights over there if you don't manage to get back and watch any more of the stream. If you're watching this on YouTube, hi, thanks for watching. So, what have we got here? These are structural pylons, the bicouplers, cargo bays, the docking ports and things like that. See, I quite like this node. I also quite like this node because it's got things like the trailing edge, it's got things like the fuselage, it's got the new nose cone, the new nose command pod area, it's got some cargo bays in there, monopropellant tanks, so these are all tanks for space planes. I think I'm going to unlock this because this hopefully will give us some oomph so that we can put a space plane up in orbit, which would be nice. So let's have a look at that one. Let's unlock that. And then the next one that leads to is the Sabre engine and the Rapier engine for 550 points. They are very nice. It also unlocks the VTOL rotor. So I'll be looking forward to having a look at those a little bit later on. But for now, we haven't got enough science points. So we've unlocked space plane flights, the high altitude flight. So let's close that. We did have some space planes a couple of weeks ago. Some planes a couple of weeks ago, and the high altitude flight was an issue. We ran out of air, so that would be advantageous. However, before we have a look at space planes, there is something that I want to have a little try of, a little play with, and that is something that I have been working on off camera. Not in this save game, but I've transferred the design into this save game, and it is this, the Ion Sat, which I was going to show you guys last week, but unfortunately my connection dropped out just before I got a chance to do so. So we're going to have a look at it today, and here it is up here. Very, very, very simple launcher, very, very simple design. However, under here, under the hood, we have the IonSat, which is a communications satellite. Well, that's about it really. It's a communications satellite, but it has an ion engine, an electric propulsion system, and a xenon tank attached to it. Excuse me. These are the most efficient but least powerful engines in the entire game. They're also very light, which makes them easy to launch. So we're going to have a look at this today. I'm going to take off this Communitron, and I'm going to add on a smaller dish, because having attempted to use this before, I did have some issues with this. I don't think we tried to launch these last week, did we? I don't think I tried to launch one of these. I was going to, and then I didn't get around to it. I'll check the the tracking station in a moment to make sure that we didn't try and launch one of these already. So I have got some custom groups set up on here. However, I'll just reset that because that sometimes gave me an issue during testing. This is obviously an uncrewed craft, so we don't need to bring anybody with us. But the hope is that this thing is light enough to head into a high orbit straight from launch, and then get itself into possibly a geosynchronous orbit once it's up in the air. What's that doing down there? Oops. You, my friend, are supposed to be at least there. Lock. Okay. So, staging wise, this should all be set up already. We've got that fires. This is to do with the fairings and things, and then we've got a detacher there, and that's all under the fairing there. So we're going to have a look at launching this thing, the IonSat. We'll call this IonSat 1 and save that and launch it. And let's see if we can get this thing into a high orbit. Come on. Okay, so here we are on the launch pad with the IonSat 1. Let's just check the map, see what we've got going on up here. We have the Twitch Polo 5.2 up there. We have the Kolony 1, which we launched a couple of weeks ago, up there. Twitch 5 is on a bit of a funny orbit at the moment, and these guys are on a bit of a funny orbit. This is all to do with the Twitch 5 ship. This is all debris that maybe we'll get a chance to clear up at a later date. However, hopefully we are going to set up an orbit in some kind of geosynchronous orbit, hopefully close to the KSC, so that we can actually, you know, use it for communications. So SAS goes on. I don't remember what kind of throttle this needs, so I'll leave it at 50% for the moment. Why am I never using launch clamps? Because I don't need to. I do use them if I need to, and there's a chance that the craft is going to fall over or whatever. What way are we travelling here? This is nearly night time, isn't it? Let's spin us round to daytime. Actually, this thing's probably going to run out of power, isn't it? If I do that. Because I don't think I put sufficient solar panels on it in the launch stage. Looks like it is. Are there any solar panels on it here? No. So what I'm going to do is... Oh my goodness. Okay. They exploded quite a lot. You know, more than I expected them to. I don't know if that's going to affect our launch. It might affect our launch because our aerodynamics are going to be all over the place. But at least we will be able to... Whoa! Okay, I didn't think you were supposed to be able to do that. We just waited an extra day. But there we go. So, this thing should hopefully have some power now. There we go. Our SAS is on. Our throttle is about 50%. Let's see how that does for us. Our power is charging up a little bit. We'll take those in... Oops, that was wrong. Okay, I'm going to recover this. And we're going to send out a replacement craft, because this one has taken a little bit of unexpected reverse maintenance. So, yes, let's... Done. Close. We'll go straight back to the launch pad. What? What? Where are you taking me? I didn't literally mean go straight to the launch pad. I didn't click that at all. Exit. I want to go to the launch pad and launch another IonSat. We'll still call it IonSat 1 because I haven't changed the design. And in theory, this is actually the same craft. It's just been taken in for some repairs and then sent back out to the launch pad. So here we go. Launch. Yeah, I can imagine that happening. Certainly on Kerbal, you hit the launch button and the fairings pop off. I don't think they would quite explode in the way that these ones just did. Not really sure why a fairing would explode at all, really, but there you go. This is Kerbal Space Program. Everything explodes. I'm sure the Kerbals themselves even would, given the opportunity. So we are heading back out to the launch pad, and here we are. We are back on the launch pad with the IonSat 1 post-maintenance. We are going to put our SAS on. We'll put our throttle up. And this time we are in daylight. What's that doing down there? What is that down there? What is that? I know what that is. That's part of Kerbal engineering. Hello. I'm going to turn that off. There we go. That was something I was experimenting with, but It's to do with targeting and things like that. We can work around that later. So here we go. On the launch pad, ready to go. And here we do go. Okay, that needs more thrust, up to 100%, and here we go. We are up in the air. Now, I'm going to take this a little bit higher than usual before starting our gravity turn, because we do actually want a higher orbit this time. Got some texture fighting there, that's interesting. Okay, see, I normally start our gravity turn about now. I'm going to wait a little bit longer. There we go, I'll start it about now. And we are obviously heading east, being very careful not to turn too sharply so that the stresses of the atmosphere can't flip us right over, as they tend to do quite often. Hey there, Creeper Face, welcome, welcome. And I'm glad to see that my post in the Facebook group has indeed met people. And we have a new follower, that is CreeperFace123. Thank you for the follow and welcome, welcome. Okay, so we're at 45 degrees. We are heading directly east, and we are pushing our apoapsis up, which is currently at 26 kilometers. And I'm going to take that up as high as I can. I possibly won't take it up as high as I can. I'm going to follow my prograde marker down slowly. My mission for this week's stream is to place, well, the current mission for this launch is to place an ion-powered satellite in orbit, preferably a geosynchronous orbit, and that will be a communications satellite for slightly longer range missions in the future. Wouldn't probably get us to Duna. We will need a longer range satellite dish for that than I have brought with us, but this thing will certainly give us communication for some unmanned missions. Apoapsis is at 63, so we are going to get into orbit, into space rather. Acceleration is probably a bit high actually, let's bring that down. That's better, there we go, we are at 70, so we can bring that right down thinking about it. Let's let ourselves drift a little bit. In fact, let's bring ourselves down horizontal now that our apoapsis is in space, and we will focus our power on circularizing our orbit whilst at the same time increasing our apoapsis and approaching our apoapsis. I want to slow our thrust down just a little bit because I do want to be heading towards our apoapsis so that we don't end up with too much of an eccentric orbit. Mind you, with this particular mission, an eccentric orbit is not a real difficulty. May even be an advantage. We are getting to the point where we are outside of the soupier part of the atmosphere, as it was once put. So we will start with our action groups. Here goes Action Group 1, which is fairings and solar panels on our main stage, on our launch stage. Just need to nudge our nose down a little bit. We will activate, I've got a, there we go, a communitron in there, so that will keep us in communication with mission control just for now, and then Actually, I'm going to take those solar panels in just a second because I can see these popping and taking them off. So let's pop that. See, they probably would have done. Out come these solar panels. We are now officially in space, as indicated by the changing music. All solar panels out and ready to roll. And then on here, we have some longer range. No, not that one. Come on. Very tricky to click. Longer range. Here we go. Omnidirectional scanners. 5 megameters they will cover. I'm thinking I'm going to cut our thrust for now. Let us drift up to our apoapsis a little bit more. It's 2 minutes away. So rather than waste our fuel here, we'll do that at our apoapsis. Well, we'll not waste it at our apoapsis. Oh, I also added the trajectories mod, which adds this this red trajectory line, which shows us where roughly we will land, taking into consideration atmospheric drag. So if I was to do no more accelerating at this point, we would enter the atmosphere here and we would land roughly where this crosses, thanks to atmospheric drag and the turning of the planet. Now, are we going to be able to communicate with anybody? We don't. I think we are going to go out of communications range before we get to our apoapsis, and the Kolony is probably not going to be in the right place to relay our signal. I don't think we're going to be able to see it. The space station hasn't come round yet, and the Twitch Polo 5.2 is on the other side of the planet. So we are going to have to burn our apoapsis now. To bring our periapsis out of the atmosphere now, circularizing this orbit, because otherwise this thing is going to just crash back into the planet. I'm going to burn downwards so that we don't increase our apoapsis too much, and we focus our energies on raising our periapsis out of the atmosphere, which it is doing very nicely. Thank you very much. So as long as we get that out of 70 kilometers, which it now is, there we go. We are safely in orbit. This craft has enough fuel to burn to get it back in so that we don't leave any debris. You should consider launching a triangle of LKO Omnisats so you always have comms. Ah, well, I am going to be launching a triangle of geosynchronous satellites so that we always have communications. That is my plan. So hopefully that plan will come together. I love it when a plan comes together. Now, how do we want to do this? We're going to lose communications soon. Oh, we have communication with the Kolony at the moment, which is handy. We're going to lose that soon too, because the Kolony is going to disappear under the horizon. But it does mean we have some manoeuvring room. So let's burn here and see if we can get our apoapsis up a bit higher. It will also get our periapsis up a bit higher. The plan being that we want to get up to 2,868 kilometers, which is geosynchronous altitude. We are at 500 kilometers. Our apoapsis at 500 kilometers now. 600 kilometers. 700 kilometers. We're starting to run low on fuel. 800. 900. 1,000 kilometers. And we have now lost communication. So our engine has automatically cut out. So we are in a safe orbit, so let's spin this guy round and see when we can regain communication. It's going to be a while. We've got communication with the Twitch Polo 5.2, but that's not much use to us at this point because it's not communicating with the KSC. As we get round here, we will regain communication roughly at our periapsis actually with mission control. There it is. So do we want to continue burning with this, or no? I'll tell you what we're going to do. We are going to detach. So we have that set up. Before we do that, let's make sure that this is pointing to mission control and activate that. We have an Omni on there, so that will keep us in communications if possible. But it's handy to have this pointing at mission control, which will relay off anything that will allow us to get to mission control. I think. I could be wrong. It might be a good idea for us to point it at the Twitch Polo 5.2 actually. But then the Omnis can communicate with that, so we should be okay. In fact, we probably don't need that active at the moment. Let's deactivate it. It's just going to use up battery power. We have our Omni on, so that should be sufficient, certainly for now. Let's detach our satellite. And there it goes. We'll leave this orbiting for the moment. We can burn that back in. It's got its own probe, so we can burn that back into the atmosphere later. We have control over this craft now. Let's activate the engines of this craft, and there we go. We have power. We are on our way. So we are now increasing our apoapsis up to the geosynchronous height if we can. This will be a relatively slow process because this engine is not particularly powerful, but I like how this thing looks from the back. Look at that. Now that we have our Omni active, we can deactivate that to save some power. And this aerial sticking out the back is keeping us in communication. Yeah, we're going to be a while. We're going to be a while. So let's make sure we stay pointing at the horizon. And at full thrust, we are at 1.3 thousand kilometers, and we are heading to 2.868 thousand kilometers. And that's the end of my beer. We are certainly making progress. Oh, look, we've got a gravioli detector on here. When did I stick that on? Let's log the gravioli data just above Kerbin's Highlands. Let's transmit that. That's 8 science there for doing nothing. Oh dear, we just run out of power. That wasn't clever. Yeah, there is that, of course. Ah, that's probably why. We are experiencing a solar eclipse. That's a pain when you're trying to use a probe. In a polar orbit. Oh, we never did complete that mission. Oh well. We have 0 electric charge. Partly because of the lunar eclipse there, and partly because I was trying to transmit data whilst using an ion engine which was sapping our electricity. So where's the moon gone? The moon just disappeared. I can kind of see it there. Oh look, we got a little bit of, we're getting a little bit of power. Let's hang on, when that comes on next. I think we've got power. So I am going to... No, that's the wrong way. Why are the controls on this thing upside down? Let's point this directly towards the sun for now, so that we can suck up its solar rays. And we'll have to continue burning on our next cycle. While that thing is increasing its electric charge, let's go back to the launch vehicle. And we will speed up time and take this thing round to the other side so that we can... Well, actually, I don't know if we're going to have communications around the other side, thinking about it. Any sign of the... No, the Twitch Apollo's not coming round. Going to lose communications. Oh, we might be able to relay off the Kolony. No. Ah, we can relay. No, we were relaying off the IronSat, but we lost that communication too. Okay, let's spin around again, because on our next approach we should be able to maintain communication with KSC, and we can use that opportunity to burn the periapsis of this thing back into the atmosphere to take it home. There we go, we have communication with KSC there. Do this at the apoapsis. Let's go to here. We're already pointing retrograde, that's handy. And let's burn. There we go. 14,000 metres. That thing is going to... I'll tell you what. Forget it. Let's just take it. There we go. Right into the planet. That thing is going to crash land back into Kerbin. At which point we can head back to the actual IronSat. Hopefully that will be able to communicate with Kerbin whilst we adjust our orbit once more. I'd like to do that at the apoapsis. Mind you, we should be burning out our periapsis to push the apoapsis out still. Yeah, no, we'll spin around a couple of times until we have communication at the periapsis, and we'll continue burning. Oh look, we actually managed to recover some funds and things from the launch vehicle as it crashed back into the planet. It had sufficient fuel to slow itself down so that we had some stuff to recover. Ooh, ooh. Are we going to have communication? No, the Kolony is going to be out of range, isn't it? Yeah, there we go, lost it. Okay. One more orbit. Oh. No, okay, no, we'll do one more orbit. And then there we go, we're right above the space centre again. Here we go, let's get ourselves pointing prograde. It's very frustrating that the controls are exactly inverted, so I'm going to spin this thing round. Doesn't have a lot of inertia, this thing, to turn around, but there we go. Now my controls are actually correct as I'm looking at them during this orbit. So let's get our throttle up. We'll have our power on the screen. That altitude thing's in the way, isn't it? Let's move that. Oh, that's the wrong one. Hang on. that one. There we go. Now we can have that on the screen. There we go. There we go. So we are burning our xenon gas and our electric charge for very, very small amounts of propulsion, but that is all you need once you are in the vacuum of space. Any propulsion is good propulsion. 2,868 kilometres is what we're looking for. We're at 2,000, coming up on 2,300. We are nearly there. And then we wait until we are above the KSC again at our apoapsis and burn, and then we have a geosynchronous satellite. We're nearly there. 2,868.6. I believe it's actually 0.75, so there we go. 0.8. 2,868.8 is about as close as we are going to get to that all-important geosynchronous altitude. So, we will spin ourselves around. We will not have communication with KSC on this orbit at our apoapsis, I don't believe. And we might miss it on our next one too. We shall have to see. Once we have this in orbit, we can look at deorbiting all the other things that are floating around here, because they will be once this and a few others are in orbit. Here we go, come on. Let's be in the right place. That is almost perfect. So let's... We've got some time until we reach that. Okay, so it's going to be very tricky. Cool, that's pretty close. Let's get ourselves pointing at that target. Estimated burn of 2 minutes and 2 seconds. So we will burn at T-minus 1 minute and 1 second. And hopefully that will leave us in a as close as possible geosynchronous orbit with communication with Kerbin. So let's speed ourselves up just a little bit until we get to here we go. So we're nearly there. T-minus 1 minute and 1 second is where we are going to be firing this burn. Is it really called a burn when it's xenon gas? Who knows? Here we go. We are burning. Let's hope we have sufficient power to complete this burn in one. Otherwise, things will go horribly wrong. Our periapsis is rising slowly. Our apoapsis is not rising currently. It probably will do a bit during this burn. Hopefully not very much. And that burn is going to be a lot longer than it said it was going to be. That's a pain. We've got plenty of fuel, but it means that our orbit might be in a slightly different location. Let's hope not. Yeah, I can't speed up time whilst throttled. So we're just going to have to wait for this. Shouldn't take all that long, hopefully. We're already coming up on 500 kilometres periapsis. Our apoapsis still hasn't moved yet, which is good. Coming up on our apoapsis now. There is our apoapsis. How long's our burn got left? 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Bit of a pain. We could use physics warp, but in my experience, using physics warp while burning really does not produce desirable effects. It's coming up on 700 kilometres. Again, apoapsis still hasn't moved, which is good. Our electric charge is depleting, but it's depleting slowly. Hopefully we won't. Yeah, we're not going to be entering the dark side anytime soon. (2,868). 811 and 812. Might have to tweak that very slightly. Twitch is breaking, is it? Why is it breaking? Is it freezing? Stuttering? We are at 1,000 kilometres, 1 million metres periapsis now. We're aiming for, up here you'll see we're aiming for an orbital period of exactly 6 hours, which will ensure that we are in an exact geosynchronous orbit, because Kerbin, what sacrilege to say Kerbin without a K. Everything must have a K. Kerbin rotates in exactly 6 hours. It used to be 6 hours and 20 seconds or something like that, I think. But in 0.25 or 0.24? 0.25 I think it was. They made sure that it was exactly 6 hours. Just to make it easier for people who are calculating geosynchronous orbits. 0 people watching, 0 views and 0 followers. Well, that's quite impressive considering you're watching, you viewed it and you followed me. So I'm seeing 29 viewers at the moment, 2,760 views and 180 follows. Could do with that number being higher. Feel free to smack the share button and get some other people come and watch and follow. I am one of the lower streamers playing Kerbal Space Program today. I'm competing against 2 of the big guns in Kerbal streaming, but I don't mind. This is not a competition. Well, it is kind of a competition, but it's not a proper competition. I'm just glad that people are enjoying watching either myself or the other guys that are streaming. Orbital period of 4 hours and 50 minutes currently, with an apoapsis of 2869.3, so we will have to tweak that slightly perhaps. However, our periapsis is very nearly up at the point where we need it, and we have lots of fuel and lots of electric charge still remaining. 2200 periapsis. 2250. Looking for 2860 something. Whatever gives us an exactly 6 hour orbital period. We're actually not quite on our target point, are we? Let's... Yep, I stopped that too early then. 5 hours 51, 5 hours 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59. Whoa, what happened there? The button didn't react. Okay, we're going to have to spin around slightly and adjust that. We've gone 37 seconds over our target orbital period. Let's clear that manoeuvre now, because that's just going to get in the way. There we go. Ooh. I'm 0.6 of a second, 0.2 of a second, less than 0.1 of a second out of my orbital period. I'm quite happy with that. 5 hours, 59 minutes, 59.9 seconds orbital period. That's about as close to 6 hours as I'm going to get. So we have a geosynchronous satellite in orbit. And we did it live. That's pretty cool. So, we can shut down the engine. Boom! How's our power? Our power's fine. Let's take a gravioli reading from up here. Too far from object. The sensor finds subtle changes in the gravity field of Kerbin. The science team will want to see these readings. 8 science for transmitting that. So there we go, we are transmitting that. Okie dokie, and then let's get ourselves... where's the sun gone? Who stole the sun? Alright, it's over there. So let's... Again, facing the wrong way. Let's get ourselves... I should do the sound effects for KSP. That was super realistic. I see. Yes, perhaps I've missed my calling. I should be a sound effect. Well, that's it. I should be a sound effect. There we go. We are pointing directly at the sun now, so we will always have sufficient power on this machine. Well, hopefully our batteries will last while we're in the dark side. We will find out if that is the case soon enough. So, I mean, we've got 4 great big batteries here, so that should be sufficient. I won't give this a target right now because we have communication with mission control via our omnidirectional device. We're also communicating with the Kolonia down there. Not communicating with anything else because we don't have line of sight. See, we could point this dish at the moon in theory, and that would give us some communications with the moon when Kerbin is on the far side. Or we could point the dish, well, pretty much anywhere. So if we target 1 and activate that and go out to our map, you will see that we have this cone that shows where that dish can see, and obviously it can see the whole of the moon from this distance. The range on this particular dish is 90 megameters. The moon is at 11.5 megameters. Minmus is at 46 megameters. Oh, hey Don Viper, welcome. However, outside of Kerbin, this thing won't be any good. But it does mean that we have communications with anything we choose to point it at within the Kerbin system. And it has a 6-hour orbital period, so it is geosynchronous. It will always have communication with Kerbin, providing it itself has power. In order to test whether it will have power, let's just speed up the time and watch how the power goes when this thing enters the dark side of the planet. There it goes. So it's entered the dark side of the planet. And is it going to run out before it comes out the other side? It's very, very close. 76. 76, 74, 73. Speed it up a little bit. 72, 71. Look at that, just about 70 odd units of electric charge. What would that be? 71 watts? I don't know. I don't know what this is a measurement of. 810. So 810 would be watt hours as opposed to kilowatt hours. I don't know. 810 watt hours, possibly. I don't know. But there we go. So that will always have communication with Kerbin, providing we don't give it any extra power load, which obviously this dish will do. So if we leave that dish running, it will drain that power. But we don't plan to do that. So I don't think that thing is using any power. Nothing on here should be using any power. Let's turn off the SAS in case that's using any power. So this thing has 0 propulsion now, so it should. Strange that the orbital period has changed slightly. Not really too sure what would cause that, but it's staying around 6 hours, so that's sufficient for me. So there we go. That is our satellite in orbit. We are now in a position where we can head back to the Space Centre and know that any unmanned missions we send out will at least have a chance of communicating back with Mission Control, even when Mission Control is pointing in the other direction. Yeah, I can see how turning could possibly affect your orbital period, but you're putting in a force which is going to affect your orbit slightly. So 54 science points, not enough for us to spend on anything. We've put a satellite in orbit. We have our space station sitting quite happily on its, what was it, about 200,000 metre orbit. Where are we? Where's the ET Station Alpha? There it is. 177, 175 roughly orbit. Now we could take something up to meet our space station. We could actually look at the starts of a colony on our space station, or we could have a look at some space planes, and I'm going to leave that up to the guys in our Twitch chat. Let's just, I'll tell you what, let's do it via a poll. Let's go for Space Kolony. or space plane? And let's open the poll. So you can now poll with !vote Space Kolony with a K or !vote Space Plane to let me know what mission you would like me to do next. Do you want me to start a colony up at our space station, or do we want to have a look at a space plane using the new parts that we've just unlocked? I will leave that up to you guys in the Twitch chat to decide. And while you do that, I'm going to switch off my camera and microphone for just a second and go and get myself a drink. Hello, I'm back, and I am with Feline. Bear with me a second. Hold on a moment. That's my other cat. You've seen the kitten. That's my cat. He's the one. He was a gift from my wife for our, not on our wedding day, but shortly after our wedding. That is my cat. His name is Bungry. And yes, I realise that is a ridiculous name for a cat. It's a ridiculous name for anything. It's a ridiculous name, full stop. But there we go. That's my baby. That's my cat. And he's quite happy sitting and watching us this evening. He's actually escaping from Roo, who's sitting just down there munching away at biscuits. So, where were we? Oh yes, the poll. Let's close the poll and refresh it. I'm pretty sure I know where it went. Oops, I just bashed my microphone. That was clever. Sorry about that. If that translated across. Yes, indeed, all the votes went for Space Kolony. So we are going to be putting a Space Kolony in orbit at our space station. And I'm going to have a sip of my drink. Juice! And that was juice, not juice, the German greeting. So, the launcher that we used for the ETSC-1, that's what it was, the cyclotron. +1 on Space Kolony. Well, yeah, all the votes went for Space Kolony anyway, so there you go. Let's have a look at the ETSC-1. Now, this was used to launch the cyclotron into orbit, which was extremely heavy, and we were left with quite a bit of fuel after. 5,000 meters a second got the cyclotron into orbit, and there is the cyclotron that we took up. Now, we don't need to take another cyclotron up, clearly. Okay. That's a station module lifter, but that's not going to be sufficient for what we've got planned. Oh, actually, have we left people up at the space station? I think we have, haven't we? I think we've left people up at the space station. Oh well, they might be able to stay there after this. This is going to have some life support on it, so it's going to restock that anyway. How are we going to do this? Yeah, let's save this as a sub-assembly. And this is going to be the ETSC, the ETS lifter module for delivering heavy loads to ET Station Alpha with a capital L. Save. Okay, so now we can actually ditch that. Hang on, what's going on? That's going to have left that fairing floating up there. Yeah, so let's go for a new craft. And let's decide how we're going to do this. How we're going to do this colony. It's in the utility section. We have oh, that's a stack chute. Hold on. What am I looking for? I'm looking for... See, these are for a stationary colony on a planet, as is that. That's the agricultural module. It's inflatable, but it's intended for a stationary colony. Most of these parts are for a stationary colony, but we do have... Is it that one? No. Where is it? There it is. The OKS habitation ring. And this thing, oops, inflates to a rather large size and contains little habitation pods. And we might be having a visit from Roo. Nope, you're staying down there for now. So we're going to try and launch this thing into up to our space station. It is inflatable and deflatable, which is good. Oh, we are going to have a visit from Roo. Here he is. Hello! Oh, hang on, he's all tangled up in the headphone wires. Get out of it. He likes eating the volume controller on my headphone wires. You're just going to sit there, are you? No, you can't play with that. Yeah, you can sit on my lap, but you can go under the desk. Okay, so we have the habitation module. There is also the agricultural module, which deploys, which I believe generates food. We can have a couple of different textures there. We'll have the clear one, I think. Retract that. We've also got the colony control centre. Paper punch card technology, colony control center allows you to operate and coordinate various components of the modular colonisation system. So yeah, we have to have a colony control centre to start using other parts, which apparently need punch cards. I'm not really sure how that works. So these are the three main parts that we're going to need to dock with our station. We're probably not going to be able to launch all of them at the same time. Where is that cyclotron? What was the weight on that? 35 kilos, and it's not as long as those. This currently weighs 49 kilos, so we can't take all of this. I think we will... Let's think, which way round do we want to do this? Technically we should take the control centre first, but because we've already got Kerbals up at our space station, I'm thinking we should take the habitation ring. wonder if we can we take the agricultural ring at the same time? That's in the different thing, isn't it? What's the weight on that? Really? Only... Oh, 2,500 kilograms. That doesn't sound right. Catfight. $37,500. Okay, so that's actually not particularly heavy, probably because it's inflatable. Command module produces punch cards that is consumed by the other modules. You can also store punch cards. You can store punch cards in antennas. That's interesting. Not really sure how that works, but I think if we get this up and dock this, and then we'll send the control center and like some of the other modules up after. This is relatively light, so it will be quite easy for us to launch this into position, especially with our ETS lifter, which hopefully is loading. Come on. Here we go. Oh, it's upside down. That's better. So, there we go. It's in the ground now as well. Let's grab the whole thing, move it up. Right, so we'll need a docking port on the other end of that. Should we sneak that to a docking hub? I think maybe we will. Makes it heavy, mind you. Oh yeah, it doesn't make it a lot heavier. And then we can add lots of docking ports on the end of that for future missions. There we go. Looking good, looking good. And then we're going to need conic fairing. There we go. Bit of an odd shape. We can probably do with strutting it a bit. There were struts on the previous version, so let's strut this up. Strut your stuff. Can we strut to? Can we get to there? Looks like we can. Okay. What did we strut to there? Nothing. Okay. Okay, so there's some struts to hold the thing in place. We can put the fairing back on in a second. The rest of this launcher, it should be in good condition from the last time we used it. Let's just check all our staging and everything. We've got 2 engines, 1 engine. We detach these and fire their retroburn. Detach those and fire their retroburn. Detach that and then activate the next low profile engine. I'm going to... You're going to think this is crazy. I'm going to attach a self-destruct to this. One there. One down the bottom bottom here, because I hate leaving debris. And I'm not going to self-destruct it there though. We'll do it up here. And I believe we can set a timer on these. Time delay, 15 seconds. This is the TAC self-destruct mod. It's from the guys who made TAC Life Support. So it's TAC self-destruct. So 15-second delay on that. So we will detach and then burn with this engine. And then 15 seconds later this thing will go bang. That's the plan. Hopefully it won't go bang too close or too big. We'll see how that works out for us. So we have 7,168 meters a second of delta V, far more than we actually need. We are going to call this thing the ETS. Let's see. No. Actually, we're going to call this the ETK, the Elitopia Twitch Colony. H for habitation 1. There we go. We are saving that. Now this is going to be crewed, and evidently we don't have any. Oh yeah, they're all in the command pod. We don't need 3 of them though. So let's take out Ronbro and Guskull, and Dillong is going to be in the command pod. The habitation ring holds a lot of people, but Dillong is going to be in the command pod. He's taking this up for us. The rest of this stuff is all gone a bit funny actually. When we detach that, the next thing we're going to want to do is detach our fairing, ready for docking. Oh, I know what I haven't done. Let's go back to the parts. Because I'm making some changes, the guys are probably going to get back in their craft, aren't they? Because they're dumb like that. Right, let's have... it's not going to let me, is it? Can I attach them to here? I want to attach some RCS ports. Ooh, it's going to let me do it there. Risky doing it on the docking port, but it's going to let me, so I'm going to do it. We have some RCS ports on the docking ports now, so that we can adjust this slightly. We don't have any RCS fuel though. Yes, we do. There's some in there. There's RCS fuel there. Don't really need to take any more. There's some up on the station, and that should be sufficient. What we've got there. So yeah, let's put the fairing back on. There we go. It's gone back to the right stage, which is good. These guys are going to have gone back in. You get Ronbro. You get Guskull. Save it. And for 192,000 funds, which is actually not very much, we are taking this thing out to the launch pad. Indeed, the self-destruct mod. For those of you who are picky about leaving debris in space, like I am, the self-destruct mod is definitely a must-have. I haven't actually used it yet. This will be the first time I've actually used it, but I'm fairly confident that I've set it up right. Famous last words. Now this thing has immense amount of thrust off the launch pad. So we won't do it at full thrust. We're on the wrong side of the planet, so we're going to have to wait for the space station to catch up. Well, we're not on the wrong side of the planet, the space station is. And I didn't mean to do that. It's going to have to go around again. Whoa, and again. Why not? The space station doesn't seem to have any communication with Kerbin, which is a little bit worrying. Right, that'll do. Let's see if we can thread this needle. Whoops. Let's zoom out. SAS on. Throttle, we'll leave it at 50% because it's got a huge amount of thrust, as I said, and we are ready for launch with Dillon Kerman in the ETKH-1. Here we go. That's roughly 1.4 Gs. That's nice. We are away. Not wobbling around too much at this point, which is nice. Decent speed. We're up at 1,500 meters, so we're going to start a very gentle turn. Preferably without flipping right over, which this thing seems to want to do. Nope. Don't cut any engines. Okay. That wasn't good. Let's... There we go, we got rid of those. Let's decouple that. Whoa, not that one. Switch back. No, not you. Where's our pod? There it is. Right. Hopefully you've got some parachutes on you. I'm pretty sure you have. Nothing happened. Ah, there we go. That was weird. Parachutes deployed asynchronously. There are lots of parts above us, which is a little bit worrying. They are going to be coming down. Let's hope they don't come down on top of poor Dillon. I believe, because we're using real parachutes now, I believe they pop at about 700 meters, yeah, but open more gently. It's raining rocket parts. Oof, that was a bit of a heavy landing. Watch out for low-flying fuel tanks. Okay, so not a particularly successful launch, that one. Let's recover Dillon. That was my fault. Pilot error. I was turning too sharp. Turning too fast. This thing is lighter than the previous vehicles that I launched, so I misjudged the turn speed, but there we go. So Dillon's home safe. We did recover 17,000 funds. We've got 969,000 left. We lost a lot of stages there. We're going to take it straight out. Oh, we have a new follower. Sheaf has followed us. Thank you very much, Sheaf. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for the follow. Let's go straight back out to the launch pad with Dillon again, who is totally unfazed by the fact that he was just in a low-flying bomb, and he is going to go out to the launch pad. And hopefully this time I can control the launch slightly better. So that we can we can get this thing up in orbit. Real Shoots uses special parachutes. I don't know if it works with stock ones, and you have to configure them in the VAB at the Action Group editor. Yes, I realise this. It does work with the stock parachutes. They do open slower. However, I should have configured them slightly better, thinking about it. I should have done that just now. Although we did have a safe landing, it was just a bit on the fast side. I think it was about 16 metres a second, which is a bit much. Sorry, DeLong, you're going to have to sit in there and wait for the space station to come around again. Yes, sometimes too slow. They were a little bit slow on this occasion. Right, I'm going to launch a bit earlier in the space station cycle this time because it's a lot easier to go past the space station's orbit and slow ourselves down than it is to launch behind it and speed up to catch it. Hi there, Sheaf. Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the channel. Thank you for the follow earlier on. I hope you enjoy what we have to offer here. So we are back on the launch pad with DeLong Kerman in the ETKH1 version 2. And we are ready for a launch. Our SAS is on. Our throttle is at 50%. Here we go. We are away. We have a decent speed again. Roughly 1.4 G's launch speed. Launch force. And again, we will, at about 1,500 metres, we will start our gravity turn, which we can do at 1,500 metres because we have an atmospheric mod on, which means that is a slightly more fuel efficient way of launching because you can actually use the atmosphere to give you some extra lift. 1,500, here we go. Starting the turn much more gently than last time. These engines are really overpowered, these NASA engines. I'm having to slow down my ascent